From the crowd in front of them, a black-robed man was approaching Atrak and Ames with unwavering steps, despite the wolf's fury. Atrak immediately jumped to his feet and reached for his sword. Ames vacillated between surprise and fear, and his childish mind forced him to walk away. Ames fled to the door, hopping like a mouse. The crowd's attention suddenly turned to Atrak. The giant sword in his hand was drawn, preparing to face the enemy approaching him. The black-robed man suddenly opened his face, his eyes gleaming strangely, and his fangs fatally protruding out of his mouth. Opposite Atrak was the vampire Walter. When the wolf saw him, he howled like crazy and jumped on him. All of Marlet's guests were plunged into panic as the vampire's face appeared. People were pushing and shouting. Antoine had his sights set on Ames, just as the boy was about to leave the inn. With Antoine's incantation, the huge wooden door slammed shut and Ames jumped back. The wolf jumped on him and clenched his teeth on his right arm, overwhelming Walter, as the vampire grabbed the attacking beast's neck with his left hand. Atrak could not make a move, because the sword move he would make could cause the wolf to die as well. When Aiden saw what was going on, he ran up the stairs of the inn, but he knew someone was coming right after him, two crows right behind him, if his ears weren't fooling him. One of the crows attacked his face, while the other was trying to stop him by grabbing his suit with its beak. Aiden tried to keep the bird away with his hands, which frantically attacked his face. A strong slap that he swung clearly landed on the animal's light body by chance, and the bird was stuck to the ground while the other was still pecking at its back. The crow that had fallen to the ground disappeared on the ground like a shadow. When Aiden reached the upstairs hallway, the crow on his back still struggling to stop him, its bites hurt Aiden quite a bit. Aiden drew his dagger from his belt, grabbed the crow with his other hand, and tried to throw it to the ground. The crow still flew in front of him, trying to keep him from getting in his way. Aiden swung all his hatred at his dagger, swung at the crow, and the pierced crow vanished into a shadow. Gilnaz was a few meters behind Aiden, and Aiden spotted the dark elf. The fairy held a long sword in her hand. Aiden knew very well that he could not defeat this enemy with the dagger in his hand, but he remembered the secret weapon he had kept for difficult moments. Darkelf's ears were very sensitive and could not stand high-pitched sounds. He waited with a surrendering stance as Gilnaz approached him with menacing steps. Gilnaz confidently approached the rebellious singer to surrender, sneaking his whistle out of his pocket as Aiden bent to drop his dagger on the floor. "You've come to the end of the road, rebel singer. From the farewell in your last song you must have guessed that you were going to die." When Gilnaz had finished, he held up his sword. His favorite time of the day was night, the time he murders people. Aiden took such a deep breath that his chest and stomach tightened. He let out his breath forcefully to the whistle, and the high-pitched sound was enough to break the windows. Gilnaz's pointed ears picked up the high-pitched sound too much, sending crazy sound waves into his brain. The dark elf even let go of his sword and covered her ears with both hands. Although he begged Aiden to stop, the singer had no intention of doing so. As Aiden took a second breath and blew the whistle again, Gilnaz had no strength to bear it and his consciousness left him. Fainting from the shockwaves in the darkelf's head, Aiden was sure the darkelf's ears wouldn't hear anything for weeks.